Welcome to Bhatt and Bhatt Tutorials online session. I am Sheshadri, faculty for Social Science. This session is for 10th grade ICSE and we are doing the geography lesson, soils in India. Dear students, we had already done part 1 of this lesson in the previous session. This will be the concluding part for this lesson. So before we go to the remaining part, let us recall what we did in the first session briefly. We saw that soil is composed of 3 main inorganic components: silica, clay and chalk, and organic matter called humus. Then soil erosion is caused by running water, wind and other man-made causes, of which the primary factor is running water. We have also discussed on the soil conservation measures, which is done by way of afforestation and checking of overgrazing, construction of dams and barrages, and by improved methods of agriculture. This was the conservation methods. And finally, we saw that we came to the soil groups in India. Geologically, there are 2 main groups. One are sedentary soils, which are basically formed in situ, and the second one is transported soils. Now, further we will see how the soils are classified. Dear students, for every classification here, the textbook has got a map. The maps are, some of them are reproduced here, some are not. So please ensure that you have the textbook with you, so that for each type of soil, individual map that is available for the major 4 types, you are having the map next to you. Okay. Now, classification of soils. The Indian Council of Agricultural Research, ICAR, commonly known acronym, set up an All India Soil Survey Committee in 1953, which divided Indian soils into 8 major groups. Of these 8 major groups, somehow the textbook mentions only 4 of them. The remaining 4, I have listed them in a map at the end of this presentation. Okay, let us first see what the 4 are, which are given in the textbook. Alluvial soils, the first one. The second one is black soil. Then you have red soils and laterite and lateritic soils. The composition is basically laterite. Now, other than this, the 4 other types which are there are, you can note this down. It is there in the last slide of this session also. But before I go further, I will just list them out for you. The 5th one you can write as desert soil. 6th, forest and mountain soil. 7th, saline and alkaline soil. The last one, peaty and marshy soil. Peaty spelling is P-E-A-T-Y. Peaty and marshy soil. The occurrence of these last 4 types is very less, which is why that has not been perhaps included in the textbook. So our main focus in the remaining part of this chapter is to see each of these four soils, and for all the four, they have listed out them in 6 subheads. It goes by origin of the soil, the characteristics of the soil, color, texture and composition, fertility, suitability to crops, fifth one, and the last one is areas and states where it is available. So this classification of the soil and the description in these 6 parameters is common for all the 4 types of soil. Okay, so let us look at the first type, which is alluvial soil. Now, these soils occupy an area of about 15 lakh square kilometer, or about 45% of 45.6% of the total land area of the country. So we can see that the alluvial soil, they are the most important and they support the maximum share of agricultural products and the bulk of the Indian population. So the soil that is found, it is the alluvial soil, which is the most widespread, and the maximum agricultural production also is from these soils. Now the first one here is the origin. These soils originate from the transported alluvium brought by the rivers. Alluvium is basically the fine silt material plus sand plus the clay. All this together is known as the alluvium. This is brought by the rivers. This belongs to the transported category. They can be divided into 2 types. Young khadar soils. These are newer alluvium of sandy, pale brown composition found in the lower areas of valley bottom, which are flooded almost every year. Now, every year this keeps depositing. So that is why between what gets deposited this year and what is there in the previous year, there are these 2 types. So first is the young khadar soil. The second one is old Bangar soils. This classification is there only in the alluvial case mainly. These consist of older alluvium of clayey composition and are dark in color. These soils are coarse in nature and contain kankar or lime nodules. Kankar is the word in Hindi for that. Pebbles and gravels. They are found 30 meters above flood level of the rivers. So as years pass by, new silt keeps coming in the bottom of the valley, whereas the upper areas of the valley, the flood level is when the maximum height at which the river reaches is known as the flood level. So it is above that these old soils are found. They represent the riverine alluvium brought down by the Satluj, Yamuna, Gagra and other rivers of the Indo-Gangetic plains. So when we come to the areas that we are there, we'll refer also to the map that is there in the textbook. Now, characteristics. These are transported type soils. These soils are coarsest in the upper section of the valley, medium in the middle, and finest in the delta region, where the river initially starts. In that place, it is the coarsest. So during the flow of the river, the texture becomes medium, and finally, ultimately, every river joins the sea. So the area where the river joins the sea is the delta region. So it is finest in the delta region. Now, the third component here is color, texture, and composition. They are mostly light to dark in color depending on new or old alluvium. they are rich in potash and humus. So but deficient in phosphorus and nitrogen. So what happens is, when application of fertilizer comes, so any farmer or agriculturist who has alluvial soil lands will know that by nature these are deficient in phosphorus and nitrogen. So obviously, whatever fertilizer has to be added will have to be rich in these two components. Now, the fertility is depending on it tells what is it that the soil is most suitable for. So alluvial soils, though differ greatly in texture, are very fertile on the whole. When you compare this to, for example, a laterite soil, an alluvial soil is any day much more fertile. So comparatively, they respond well to irrigation and manuring. They are very good for both Rabi and Kharif crops. Kharif, we know, is the main season, that is the southwest monsoon season where the sowing happens. Rabi is where the northeast monsoon season, which happens in November, December, the rains which happen then. So whereas the rains that happen in June, July and August, this is the time for the Kharif season. So they are good for both the crops. Now, suitability to crops. These soils are suitable for wheat, sugarcane, rice, cotton and oilseeds. In the delta region, they are ideal for jute cultivation. Now, areas and states. This is where I said, please refer also to the map that is there. So the areas in the North India are, okay, the vast tract of riverine alluvium of Satluj, Ganga and the Brahmaputra plains. So when you look at the map, you can clearly see the states also there where it is given. The states are Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal and Assam. Actually, in West Bengal and Assam is where it is in the delta region, whereas in Uttar Pradesh, it will be in the upper valley region. So ultimately in Assam and West Bengal is where the Ganges also becomes goes and joins the sea. So these are the states in north. In the Deccan coastal strip, again it is in the southern part of the country. It is there only in the coastal strips. The entire coastal strip, you can clearly see that in the Deccan coastal strip occupying deltas of Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Narmada and Tapti. The states given here are parts of Orissa and other regions, but actually in other regions you also, where Godavari and Krishna is in Karnataka, Narmada is in MP and Kaveri is in Karnataka, those also should have been here. So the area it is mentioned, so parts of Orissa, Andhra, Karnataka and MP. We can add that there. So that is where the alluvial soil is found. Let's see the, okay, before we go to the next one, there is a difference again between alluvial soils of the north and south. Alluvial soils of the Deccan coastal strip are non-porous, clayey and darker in color as compared to alluvial soils of Upper Ganga Valley, as rivers of the Deccan Plateau flowing through black soil region carry the same to the delta. Now the rivers of the Deccan Plateau, again they are Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri. These are the rivers which are flowing in the Deccan Plateau, and because they go through areas of black soil. They are darker in color. The alluvial soils, they are darker in color. So that's the difference between the alluvial soils of the north and the south. And the southern alluvial soil, these soils are called deltaic alluvium, and they are most suited to rice crop. East Godavari, West Godavari, Krishna, these districts in Andhra Pradesh is actually the rice bowl. The rice bowl in southern India, where maximum paddy is grown, because the soil is most suitable for that. Then we come to the second classification of soil, which is the black soil. Now, the origin. Black soils are called regur, from Telugu word reguda. And black cotton soils, it is generally, commonly, it is never called black soil, it is commonly known as black cotton soil itself. The reason is, cotton is the most grown crop in these soils, most preferable for growth of cotton. So, black soil as such, though the classification is black soil, it's more called as black cotton soil because of the crop. Now, these soils are formed in situ, that is formed where they are found. They are essentially formed by weathering of Deccan Trap, which was formed by solidification of basic lava after volcanic activity. They are spread overall an area of 5 to lakh square kilometer, that is 16.6% of the total land area of the country. Now, if you refer to this, 16.6 here and about 44, almost 60 to 63% of the entire land area in the country is covered by these two soils itself. Most of the soil, almost below 65%. The area is covered by these two soils itself. So you can see how important they are to our agricultural economy. Now, the characteristics of the soil: black soils retain moisture and become sticky when wet. This property of retaining moisture and releasing it when required during dry period is very useful for the crops, especially in the lava tracts of Maharashtra where irrigation is not possible. The deeper the soil, the more moisture it can hold. Perhaps that's what makes it more suitable for this cotton crop. In some valleys like Narmada and Tapti, the soil is 6 meter deep. Dear students, we know all these other rivers, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, they all go and meet the ocean in the Bay of Bengal. That is, they all flow to the east. Narmada is the only river which flows to the west. It goes, starts at MP, goes via Gujarat, Sardar Sarovar, the dam that is built on Narmada. That it goes to the Arabian Sea. So you can easily remember the Narmada like that. A river which flows west. And next, the color, texture and composition of black soils. Black soils vary in color from deep black to chestnut brown, medium black, or even mixture of red and black may be found at some places. If there is a slight mixture of the other type of soil, that is a red soil, then you will have that mixture of red and black. Otherwise, you can generally see it is generally fully black, deep black it is. So black color may be observed from black crystalline schists and basic gneisses. Both these are types of rocks, actually minerals. They are rocks. Schist is a kind of a rock. Gneiss. The G is silent in gneiss, so it is pronounced as, gneiss. It is pronounced as gneiss. So basic gneisses. So these are the two basic types of rock from which they are formed. These rocks were formed thousands and thousands of years back, and the disintegration and denudation of the soil from these two basic rock material are, that's why, and that's why, and both these are black. That's why the black color. They are fine grained in texture with more than 60% clay. They do not contain gravel or sand. You can generally see only if it is a transported soil, it will have more of sand because it is a river. It generally washes down the sand. Now, black soils contain lime, alumina, iron, potash, magnesium, carbonates, and calcium. They are deficient in phosphates, nitrogen, and humus or organic matter. So, organic part of the soil here is weak. So, that will need to be added to the soil. So, in the management of the farmland that belongs to these black soils, this will have to be kept in mind. As a rule, black soil of uplands are of low fertility, but they are dark, deep, and rich in valleys. The Narmada that we saw, we have a large valley, and wherever the river is shallow or where there is no valley there the fertility is low, but they are very fertile when it comes to deep valleys. Suitability for crops, because of their high fertility and retentivity of moisture, the black soils are widely used for several important crops like cotton. In fact, the most important crop that is grown is cotton. So cotton, rice, wheat, jowar, millets, sugarcane, Virginia tobacco, oil seeds like linseed and sunflower, and fruits and vegetables. Please remember, it's covering about 17% of the area. So that's quite a large area there. And what they generally do is they will rotate the crop. They'll have one crop cycle of say paddy. Then to replenish the soil and also for better fertility, they will either go for sunflower or any of the fruits, any of the vegetables which have say only a 2-month or a maximum 3-month period of harvesting. They will alternate it with that. Areas and states, black soils are primarily sedentary soils. Geologically, as we have seen, differences, sedentary and transported soil. So this is a sedentary soil. They are largely found in the regions of their origin, as they have resulted from the weathering of the Deccan trap rocks of volcanic origin. They are vastly confined to the Deccan Plateau. If you see the map which is given for black soil, that also clearly shows that it is there only in the Deccan Plateau. I mean, below UP, that parts of Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, the upper parts of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. That will come in the states also. It will come next. Maharashtra, Gujarat, Western Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and southern districts of Tamil Nadu. It is very clearly there in the map also. There is one combined map which we have included here also, but these individual maps are also equally important. You will have to correlate this with the map so that you can easily remember them. Yeah, here the black one is the black soil which we just now saw. Maharashtra, Gujarat, Western Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and the southern districts of Tamil Nadu. This is actually a combined map. This is not part of the textbook actually, where these other types of soils also are given. Where you have the mountain soil. But to easily identify the 4 main types, alluvial, black, red and lateritic, it's better to remember it in individual maps. Okay, so we go further. Red soils. Red soils are formed due to weathering of ancient crystalline and metamorphic rocks. The parent rocks are acid granites and gneisses. These soils occupy an area of about 3.5 lakh square kilometer, which is about 10.6% of the total area. Last time we came to about 60, closer to 62 or 63%. This adds another 10-11%, brings it to about 70%, 73, 74%. Okay. Now, color, texture, and composition. The red color of these soils is due to its very high iron content. The color varies from red to brown, chocolate, and yellow. Red soils are porous and friable in nature. By and large, red soils lack lime, magnesia, phosphate, nitrogen, and humus. NPK, the most common fertilizer that is commonly used is NP. It's a mixture of NP and K. So where phosphate and nitrogen is added to the soil. They are rich in potash and become fertile with proper use of fertilizers and irrigation. So every time there is a new sowing season, before the sowing takes place, they apply fertilizer, plow it, and then do the soil planting. Now, suitability for crops. With application of proper fertilizer and irrigation, they give excellent fields of wheat, rice, cotton, sugarcane, pulse, millets. It is not millets, millets. Ragi is a millet actually. Ragi, which is commonly grown in Karnataka, it's actually called finger millet. It's a millet. Tobacco and oil seeds. Now, areas and states. In North India, the red soil extends to parts of Bihar, West Bengal, and eastern Rajasthan, parts of Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, and Meghalaya. It's very there. It's there in the map. The same areas are clearly shown. It's mostly to the eastern part of the country. West Bengal, eastern Rajasthan, Assam, and all these are the northeastern states. So it is mostly to the eastern part of the country there in North India. And in South India, red soils are spread over the whole of Tamil Nadu, large parts of southern Karnataka and Goa. The soil in and around Bangalore is mainly red soil. So this is what you can practically see anywhere. Farmland in and around Bangalore districts, they are all belongs to this category. It is the red soil. So large parts of southern Karnataka, Goa, northeast Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, southeast Maharashtra, and the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Chota Nagpur Plateau again is now part of Bihar or part of Jharkhand. That is the Chota Nagpur Plateau. So that is where these are present. Now we come to the last type of soil, which are laterite soils. The word laterite in Latin means brick. These soils are formed under conditions of high temperature and heavy rainfall with alternate wet and dry periods. That's why all coastal areas you will find this. You go to the coastal areas of say Goa. In Karnataka, you go to Udupi, Kundapur, those areas, you can see these soils, and they actually make all the construction there is done out of these bricks. They literally cut and remove this soil from the ground. and they make use of it just like they use here solid blocks, solid concrete blocks. Instead of the concrete blocks, they use these laterite bricks, and it is quite durable, and the house is much cooler with this than with that. Of course, that is a non-agricultural use, but it is used extensively for that. People who are from that area would have seen this. They cover an area of about 2.4 lakh square kilometer. Now, characteristics: monsoon conditions promote leaching of the soil. That is, the heavy rainfall washes away the topsoil containing silica. This process is called leaching. Laterite soils have a unique property of being valuable building material as they harden like iron when exposed to air. That's what I told. They cut it out of the ground, and once it is exposed, it is as hard as rock. They are used as blocks. So and the main crops we will see here actually all cashew plantation, coconut plantation, areca nut. All these are these, and because these are all there in coastal areas and water doesn't stay on them, all these crops are actually ideal for that. Coffee, even coffee is grown in these areas. Now, color, texture, and composition. Laterite soils are red in color due to the presence of iron oxide. These soils are generally coarse in texture and friable and porous in nature. They are very rich in iron. That's why you can see that reddish kind of color in them. But they'll all be porous. They are poor in lime, magnesia, phosphoric acid, and potash. You can see that here, the lateritic soil deposits, the entire coastal areas. It is there with very few areas in the center of the country. You can see a little bit in Maharashtra, MP, and a very small part in Gujarat and Rajasthan. But the maximum you will see is in the coastal areas there. You can refer to the individual map also there. Now, fertility. Due to intensive leaching, laterite soils lack in fertility but respond readily to manuring and irrigation. Like I told you, it is all these plantation crops. Laterite soils are suitable for plantation crops like tea, coffee, rubber, coconut, cashew, areca nut. All these coastal areas, that is where all these plantations are. Because one is the terrace farming kind of thing. They will break up the slope into horizontal areas, and these crops are planted. In some areas, these soils support grazing grounds and scrub forests. Areas and states, like we have seen in the map also, laterite soils are mainly found in the highland areas of the peninsular plateau. That is, the summits of the Western Ghats. On the west side, where you starting from Goa down right up to the part in Karnataka, Udupi, Kundapur, and all those areas, and going further down to Kerala. So that is the Western Ghats. Then you have the Eastern Ghats there, again on the east coast. And they are found at the top of these ghats, these lateritic soils. Okay. They are found in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and parts of Maharashtra, Kerala. All these are mostly on the west coast. The last three, if you see, Bihar, Orissa, and Jharkhand, is actually the eastern part of it. There again, wherever the ghats are there, it is in the higher elevation of the ghats. As they have noted, 600 to 1500 meters above mean sea level. That is where they are found. And that's where they are maximum used. So, dear students, this completes this chapter almost. But like I said, this last slide we have included just to note that the remaining 4 types of soil that were there, we have discussed black soil, alluvial soil, red soil, and laterite soil. Only to demonstrate these other 4, we have included that. You can see the picture of each of them here. On the top left hand, you will see the black soil, really black in color. Then next to the right, B is alluvial soil, C, red soil. You can see the difference between B and C. The red soil, that's because of the presence of iron oxides. It's really rich red in color. D is laterite soil. E, the desert soil, as the name itself suggests, Rann of Kutch, the western parts of Rajasthan where the Thar desert is there, that is where these are there, and agriculturally not that important, and geographically also the areas are less. So the remaining 4 types, which is why I believe it's not included here in the text, but we can know this as part of our understanding of the different types of soils. Then you have the forest and mountain soil, small part, because laterite soil, again we have told, is only at the summits. Towards the bottom of the mountains we have this. Saline and alkaline soil, again G, where salt manufacturing is in Gujarat, that is the Rann of Kutch. That is where you can see this saline and alkaline soil. And peaty and marshy soil. Peaty and marshy soil is basically the river delta, where the Ganges meets the sea, or the Brahmaputra meets the sea. Basically, the end part of the delta will have peaty and marshy soil. So this is and this is the map which shows their locations. With this, we have covered the chapter soils in India. Any doubts, you can contact us on these numbers, or you can send a message, the Butt and Butt Tutorials mobile app chat section. Thank you.